So I came across this video and it was of a lunch lady who was actually fired from her job because she was helping to give the students who did not have any money for the food. I thought this was like over and done with. So when I was in school, I remember like people at first it was like, okay, you gotta pay. Oh, you ain't got the money. Well, I guess I gotta add it to your account and all that. But then it got to a point where it was like, okay, everyone's getting free lunch. I thought, I mean, I get not everywhere was getting it, but I know like in my school, that's what it got to. But I was looking at that food. I go and look at some of this food. And of course, every school is pretty much different, but America is America. Okay. Um, what is this? Chicken nuggets? I don't even know what that is. Some kind of soup thing. You got some kind of milk that may not be. This is what we're feeding the kids. Because I remember when I was in school, this food did not look good. Like we end up, I remember something similar to this. You had the chocolate milk, the little tater tots, the little chicken fingers, and then like some kind of fruit cup thing. This was something, oh boy. I remember you could get a piece of fruit, you got the milk, and then you got like this pizza that they always had in aluminum foil. Like it was to me, it was very gross, because they had it in aluminum foil, and then sometimes you could like the aluminum foil was like stuck onto the pizza and then you had to kind of like peel it off but this is not nutritious food that people should be eating. Then you got like a little small piece bit of salad, if you can call it that. The apple is probably the best thing on this freaking plate anyways. Then ugh. I started taking my lunch to school when I was 9. I really started like halfway, and that was fourth grade for me. I really started like a little over halfway of third grade, so like 8. And I don't care. I was making my little ham sandwiches. I was making my PB and J sandwiches, had some chips, had some oranges, and I have it already pre-peeled and everything. So all I gotta do is just eat it. And let's keep it real. It's not like I was eating, the healthiest food then, okay? But it was better than a lot of this other stuff that we had here. Because I was like, yeah, I'm not eating this. Because I remember it getting to a point where I was just like, this food is gross. Like it was so gross, like I didn't want to eat it gross. And I'm going home hungry. And I'm like, yeah, I just gonna make my own stuff. And I remember I told my mom, I said, I'm just gonna make my own stuff. I said it's official. You gotta give me a lunch bag. Cause I said I'm not doing this because it was gross. It was just nasty. I mean, then they had like these chicken burger things. Ugh. Like, oh God. I remember I took one bite. I said, yeah, I'm good. I'm good on this. And then it was like 6th grade. I remember I forgot to make my lunch, or no, I forgot it in the refrigerator. That's what it was. Because I always made my lunch the night before. So I forgot it, of course. And then I went to school and I was hungry. And I remember I told my mom, she said, well, just go and eat the lunch there. I didn't have to pay for it. It was my first time doing it in so long. So I had it and I ate it and I was like disgusted with myself. I said, you better not ever, ever forget your lunch at home because this was gross. Like it was just so nasty, I mean, it was just so freaking gross. But I mean, some people they have no other choice. They gotta eat it. Okay. And you do have some schools that have better options. And you got the schools who don't. Okay, but let's go ahead and take a look at this lunch lady who was trying to help out the students, and she was terminated because of that.
The school cafeteria worker admits she did wrong, and she understands why she was fired.
For 14 years, Debbie Salzman worked as a beloved lunch lady here at Denver Place Elementary School in Wilmington. She says she would upgrade the lunch of a child who didn't have enough money or give them extra food if they said they were still hungry.
If they didn't have enough money on their account, they would get a cheese sandwich instead. When they got a free lunch, that would come back and say, Miss Debbie, I'm still hungry. Didn't you get your belly full for supper last night? And you don't know how many times they heard they didn't have supper that night.
Salzman says she kept Post-it note IOUs and paid out of her own pocket for kids, but the district suspended and terminated her this February for, quote, not keeping track of her register and providing food to her grandchildren without payment, end quote. Salzman admits to giving her grandchildren extra food too, but says it wasn't just them.
I broke the rule. I'm the one that broke the rule.
Now that's something I'm curious about. How was it that you would know? So I know they weigh food. Okay, so my first job, and this is all gonna, okay. But my first job was when I was 18 years old. I was on federal work study. And when I was at UIUC, I was working in the dining hall. It was time to clean up. What do we do with all this food? Because it was quite a bit of food left. Okay, now in terms of the chicken, yeah, it ain't all left. Meatloaf, it ain't all left. But they had this giant salad bar area. Okay, the food was hooked up, but they had this giant salad bar area, and that's really where I was stationed because everyone had like the certain areas that they were at, and I was the salad bar lady. So I'm like, okay, so what do we do? So we had these big buckets, like that big, right? I'm thinking they're going to donate this or something. No, they said just mix everything and just put it in there. So you were mixing all of the different dressings. It was like 10, 12 different dressings. You mix all that in there with all of the granola that no one used, all of the spinach no one used, all of the lettuce no one used, all the quinoa no one used, all of the rice that no one used, and you just put it in there, and then you take it to like the actual regular, well, not actual, but you know what I mean, like the regular older employees, like this is their full-time job, they're not students. You take it to them and they weigh it, and then they send it off wherever they send it off to. And then I was like, oh, what are we waiting for? And then now they did it for other reasons, but she was saying to me, she said, well, we weigh it so that we can, see how much waste there is. And I'm like, okay, but we couldn't have donated. I didn't tell her this. One thing, I'm like, we couldn't have donated this food. You talking about a lot of waste, a lot of waste. I was like, and I'm talking about, this was just a salad area, and it was like 2 of these buckets, 3 of these buckets. So I'm like, okay, well, what about that area that got like, meatloaf and all this other stuff, in that area that got mashed potatoes, in that area that got this, and in that area that got, you know what I mean? So after a while, all this stuff adds up. And this was just one dining hall, which was for Snyder Hall. I think it was called Snyder or whatever. I think it was called Snyder. But anyways, but this was this dining hall. Okay. That was by Snyder Hall. I don't remember the name of it. But anyways, but then you had other ones that were like on the Urbana side of campus, or even some that were still on the Champaign side. So I'm like, okay, so you got all these different dining halls. I guess I'm a little confused. Like, what's happening? Okay. Like, we're all just throwing this food away, and it was so much waste. So I bring that up because in relation to this, I know y'all got to be throwing some food away. You can't tell me that everybody has ate every little crumb. You cannot tell me that. So I know y'all were throwing some of this food away. Why not just give it away? I mean, y'all were giving it away anyways. I mean, you are forcing someone to be here. Okay, not saying the kids don't need their education, but I am saying we are forcing the kids to be here to have lunch at 10 a.m. Okay, so, I mean, what are we even talking about? Y'all saying, oh, y'all gotta get your education because, the children are the future. But then you can't feed them. And then let's just keep it real, and there's no shade. That food did not look good. Okay? That food, it looked how I remember. Now, I've never seen any chicken wings at my school. Okay? Because they said, no, we ain't got that. We ain't got that for you. Got a stale bun, little bit of it. We got a mayo packet, ketchup packet. You get one of each. You get this chicken sandwich thing, chicken burger. We got you on some. I remember they did corn dogs. Like, You got corn dogs and some fried. I mean, you're talking about like banquet dinners. This is what they're giving kids. It's pathetic. And y'all over here getting mad that she's over here giving them this. And I'm not saying like, but I'm just saying like this is, let's not make it seem like this is a steak and lobster dinner that, that these kids are getting, or like some really good chicken fried rice or something. You know what I mean? Like y'all not these, this is even like top tier food. We're not making like some nice pasta, fettuccine alfredo. Okay? And y'all over here complaining that she's over here trying to help these kids out who ain't getting food at home. Chad, I do have another video.
Jim Jones, the former head of human foods at the FDA, recently complained in an article that his department had 89 people cut who were nutritionists and people who analyzed chemicals and who were essential for the human foods department, which is a $1.6 billion budget, by the way. And he was, asserting that this was indiscriminate and basically dangerous, that the Trump administration fired these 89 people. I have something to say about this, okay? We submitted numerous categories, huge categories of food, like school lunches and fast food and baby formula and Girl Scout cookies and many other types of foods that are massively contaminated with known toxins, such as 100% positive for glyphosate weed killer, okay, which is an endocrine disruptor, a carcinogen, nervous system damage, neurotoxic. If you don't know this, you haven't been following me, so welcome. But glyphosate, it's going to make DDT look like mouthwash, according to Dr. Don Huber. It's probably one of the most harmful herbicides and the most widely used on the planet. Okay, so 100% of these foods, pretty much 93 to 100%, were positive for glyphosate. Heavy metals were off the charts. Some of them were 6,000 times higher than what the EPA allows in drinking water, in our school lunches. 1,000 times higher in burgers and fast food burgers, right? We also found butadiene, which is, we're pretty sure, injected into these cows because it makes muscle meat grow. And butadiene is on the it's shown on the manufacturer data sheet to cause aggression and combativeness. And it was in 47% of the fast food samples that we tested. Okay? Did the FDA do anything about this? Nothing. Did they email us even one peep? No, we met with them twice about it. Did they do anything? Zero. Okay. And we also found an aviary contraceptive in basically 10% of the school lunch samples that we found. I think it was pretty much all the chicken. Chick-fil-A sandwiches also had this aviary contraceptive. Is this legal? No. Did they do anything about it? No. Did they do anything about the 20 times higher, the amount, 269 parts per million of gluten that we found in Trader Joe's almost everything gluten-free bagel? Did they do anything about this illegal level of gluten found in this Trader Joe's product? No. Okay, we found all kinds. We found veteran drugs and hormones. We found antibiotics that can cause the hind legs of dogs and horses to be sterilized. They're not approved for human use in fast food. And fast food suppliers supply school lunches. And so there were way more than 89 people at the head in human foods at the FDA that did nothing about this. And Jim Jones wants us to feel sorry for them. No. Trump's administration is not, as far as we know right now, the threat to the human food system. We shall see, but we think like some pretty awesome things are going to happen. Who was the threat? It was the regulatory agencies that were doing nothing about protecting our food supply for the past couple of decades, including Jim Jones and his cronies at the FDA. So adios, Jim Jones. We think somebody much better, more courageous, and useful and productive is going to get in there. We don't know who yet, but you can bet your bippy I will be giving them information and trying to influence, or support them in the food testing that they do, because as far as I can see, Moms Across America has been doing a better job with food testing and releasing that information to the public than the FDA has. So please support us, because we need to keep going with this testing. Thank you.
Do you have a lot of these organizations who are supposed to be strict on regulations and make sure everything is good? One thing I would say is this. Definitely check out, I believe I watched it on Netflix. It's called What the Health. It is a documentary, and now he promotes veganism, but he essentially takes a deep dive into the American food system and what all that entails, calls some of these people, cancer foundations and all that. And he's like, yo, okay, on your website, you're saying, oh, you should have this, but I guess I'm a little confused because this has been known to cause this. So what's going on? And then they just ignore him. So that's the thing. Like, you have these organizations that are supposed to be protecting you, but then they don't. She just said these school lunches have a lot of chemicals, antibiotics, weed killers, everything. And so you pretty much have poison food. I mean, let's keep it real. That's what a lot of American grocery stores sell anyways, especially if you go in that sweets aisle. But you have a lot of that going on. And then you get mad at a lady who just wants to try to feed someone. You get mad at her because she's trying to feed someone, but you don't get mad at any of the organizations who are giving these people, whether they paid or not, poisonous food. Y'all, let me know what y'all think about this down below.